Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that we're talking about some new light, because the title of tonight's show is Meeting in the Middle. And that is because yesterday we had a wonderful new moon at 23 degrees of Gemini. And Gemini is the traditional ruler. First of all, it rules two of everything. It rules the twins. And it is the traditional ruler of the third house of everyday life and your pals and your buddies and your acquaintances and your neighbors. And it rules communication and easy transitional change. It also rules marketing and advertising and buying and selling and short journeys. And it rules all short forms of communication, such as two-year colleges or community colleges, or vocational schools, or even just training seminars where you can sort of learn to update your skills. And so all of that is ruled by Gemini. It also rules conversation and gossip. And the reason why there can be a meeting in the middle right now, a very successful one, is because that new moon yesterday was at 23 degrees. And when we reduce numbers, we add their digits. So 2 plus 3 equals 5. 5 is the number of Gemini, and so that means Gemini wins right now, or the things that it governs are very well aspected. And the reason why there can be a compromise now, or some sort of partnership proposal, is because that Sun and New Moon in Gemini were trining Mars, which is in Aquarius, the sign of the future, and those three planets were all trining the sign of Libra, which rules love and marriage and peace and partnership, and it does rule compromise and the law. So the prospects for a meeting in the middle right now are very good. And you might want to consider meeting up with somebody right now, not to get everything you want, but at least if you meet in the middle with somebody else, you're both going to get a little bit of what you want, and that could make you both happier. Because there are very few harsh aspects to this new moon. In fact, there's only one, and that is because the Sun and New Moon in Gemini are being squared by Neptune in Pisces. But that's been going on for a long time, and that simply means that there may be some omissions or some deceptions or something hidden behind the scenes that isn't going to come out in an initial meeting, but the facts and details could come out later instead. So you have to realize that the enormous advantage to meeting in the middle is that you only have to go halfway. And that's because someone else can be quite willing right now to go the other halfway, and that means you both could reach your goal or come pretty close to it. However, there can be some roadblocks that are going to be a lot harder to overcome. What could they be? Well, there's actually a harsh grand cross among 4 planets in the fixed signs. And fixed signs are not willing to budge on anything. And since 2 of those signs are the financial signs, this can be a time, even if you are meeting in the middle, when there can be little or no agreement on financial considerations or arrangements right now, because 2 of the 4 planets are malefic planets that can sort of get you in trouble. One of them is that Mars in Aquarius, because Mars rules war, hate, greed, aggression, jealousy, and envy, and it is squaring Uranus, the other malefic planet, which rules rebellion and sudden surprising change in Taurus, a fixed financial sign. And those 2 planets are also squaring and opposing Venus, which has just come into Leo, and also Jupiter in Scorpio. Those are the 4 planets. So this could be, this is not going to be a time that you can actually solve a lot of financial problems right now, but there can still be a successful meeting in the middle. And there are the 2 love planets involved, because Venus in Leo at 0 degrees is exactly squaring Uranus in Taurus at 1 degree. And that simply means that the high cost of living or providing well for your loved ones could create some sudden surprising change. And you'd have to sort of watch out for that as well. However, this new moon in Gemini yesterday is really well aspected for success. So not only is a meeting in the middle very possible right now, but there can be someone else involved who has an urgent desire to make sure it succeeds. Maybe their desire could be a little greater than your own, but there's nothing wrong with that, because that simply means you can be more successful right now at having a meeting in the middle, or having a meeting of the minds, because after all, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the planet of the mind. So this can be good for all of us, not because one side gets more than the other or gets everything they want, but simply because both sides are willing to talk and work something out. Maybe it can only be on a temporary basis or a part-time basis, or maybe just on a trial basis. But it is aspected for success, so I hope you remember that. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, it simply means that, you know, the tide has turned a little bit more in your favor right now, Aries, for two reasons. First of all, the sun and new moon in Gemini are sextiling your sun. So there is the possibility that you could make some sort of easy transitional change, or at least have an opportunity for that, or get some updated training that could help you with your job. And also, Venus in Leo, which is at 0 degrees of Leo, is happily trining your sun sign. So if you had to make some sort of change, you would get some rather loving help with that from a very nice person. Or you could get some rather good news that could make you happy right now, Aries. And that's good because yours is a cardinal sign. And so that means, since Mercury has moved into Cancer, another cardinal sign, that it is squaring your sun sign. And that means, since Cancer rules real estate and homes and our families, that you could get some challenging news about a family member or a real estate situation or a home matter that can present some problems for you, and that's why it might precipitate an easy transitional change that you might feel like making. And then Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn are still squaring your sun, which they will continue to do until 2020, which once again means you still have to conform to people who are very experienced and know what they want, and you are going to have to live up to their standards and perhaps quell some of your rebelliousness, because Uranus has been in your sign for the last 7 years, and you may have wanted to do a lot of things your way, but you will be constrained for the next 2 years and not able to do that. Still, this is a very good new moon for you. Congratulations. What does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, in one way, this is a good new moon because, first of all, it was right in front of your sun sign, Taurus, and so that means the sun and new moon, which are a lot of light, were in Gemini. Remember, Gemini rules buying and selling. And this is a time, even though Uranus in Taurus is trining Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, which means you could have unexpected opportunities to further your long-term goals or make investments for your retirement. That would all work out. However, right now there can be little or no agreement about some sort of financial consideration or arrangement, and that is because there are 4 planets in a grand cross in fixed signs, and yours is a fixed sign. So Uranus in your sign is opposing Jupiter in Scorpio, which means you may have to pay out some money right now, money that you may owe others, or even taxes, something like that. And then Uranus in your sign is squaring Venus in Leo, which means your love life may not be all that great, or there can be matters concerning a child that are a little contentious right now. And then the big thing that you need to worry about is that Mars in Aquarius is squaring Uranus in your own sign. And remember, I said that the high cost of living and being able to provide for your loved ones may create sudden surprising changes. You really need to watch out for those. But still, if you were caught in some sort of quandary and had to come up with some extra money right now, I strongly urge you to sell something, Taurus. Just because the new moon is right ahead of your sun sign and it rules buying and selling. So sell something, and that way you could get some ready cash. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, the new moon yesterday was in your sun sign, and that simply means you win, Gemini. And that is because the new moon and the sun were both conjuncting each other at 23 degrees, a number that reduces to 5, the number that rules your sign. And so, Gemini, there are no harsh aspects to your sun sign except the fact that Neptune in Pisces is squaring your sun, which it's been doing for a while, and that means you really don't know who to trust and you have to test people. And that some people, even the ones that can meet in the middle with you right now successfully, could be involved in some sort of deception or omission or hidden things going on behind the scenes that will be revealed later on. After all, by the end of the month, there are going to be 5 retrograde planets. More and more information will be coming out. But for right now, it looks like you are going to have a very successful meeting in the middle about something. And just remember, the enormous advantage of that is you only have to go halfway to reach a goal, because there can be somebody else quite eager to go the other half of the way. And that's why you can be successful now. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when you benefit from the fact that Venus, or that Mercury in your sign is trining Jupiter in Scorpio, which means you could get some good news about money that's coming your way. And Mercury in your sign is trining Neptune in Pisces. So there is a grand trine in water signs, and the water signs rule healing. And so there is the possibility that a meeting in the middle with somebody else could heal a matter that needs that. It could be with another family member. It could be about a real estate matter. It could be about buying and selling something, or even in your career going from full-time to part-time. So some meeting in the middle is going to work out for you, Cancer. And the reason why is that that sun and new moon in Gemini were right behind your sun sign yesterday. And so there is a lot of light on you in the background of your life, Cancer. People can sort of be talking about you, and it can work out pretty well. But remember that it also means that there can be an easy transitional change or some sort of temporary thing that works out well. So keep that in mind, because Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn are opposing your sun sign, which means there can be changes in management or changes in policies and procedures and budgets in large corporations or government agencies that would somewhat adversely affect you. But I think you're going to be able to make some easy change that will accommodate that. And so I don't think you're going to be too hurt by that at all. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time when you can be in a more lovable mood, and that's because Venus just came into your sign. Well, that's good. You may need to be in a more lovable mood, Leo, because Venus is the only planet in a fire sign right now. And even though the sun and new moon in Gemini yesterday were sextiling your sun, meaning that you too could make some sort of easy transitional change, or you could be willing to sort of meet in the middle and resolve some sort of issue or make plans where someone else is eager to be accommodating as well. That could work out. But the reason why you would have to do that, Leo, is because there is a grand cross among the fixed signs, and yours is a fixed sign. So today, Venus in your sign is exactly squaring Uranus in Taurus. And that means there could be unexpected changes in the high cost of living right now, and that could sort of throw you off, and that could be a little harmful to your budget. And then Jupiter in Scorpio is also squaring your sun, which means there may be some bills around that haven't been paid yet that that situation may need to be addressed, or there could simply be a rising interest rates right now that could make debt more expensive. And then on top of that, and the one you really need to worry about, is that Mars in Aquarius is opposing Venus in your own sign. So there is going to be a little upset in your love life, Leo, or there can be a need to have a meeting in the middle, because there could be, your plans could have gone awry in one way or another. Or there is the possibility, Leo, that there could be somebody around you that is very jealous or vindictive or even hateful or ruthless or greedy. And you would need to really watch out for that person. And that might be why you want to make some transitional change and sort of shift to somewhere else right now. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time when, as long as you keep your mind on business and your career, you're going to do just fine. So you need to be like a racehorse with blinders on right now, Virgo, and only concentrate on facts and figures, and as I said, your career or long-term goals. And the reason why is that you can be very successful, maybe even more successful than you realize, because Uranus in Taurus is trining your sun, and it will continue to do that for 7 years, and Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn are also trining your sun for the next 2 years. So as long as you only focus on your career or on your investments and on your health, you're going to be just fine. But actually, that new moon yesterday with the sun in Gemini did square your sun sign. And so you may not be able to have a successful meeting in the middle because someone else is unwilling to meet you halfway on something. And that someone could be someone that isn't very trustworthy anyway, or who has been omitting a few things that are very important right now and misleading you. And that is because Neptune in Pisces is opposing your sun sign. So in relationships, you're very vulnerable, and you really shouldn't believe everything you hear, because somebody is really being two-faced right now. And they think that they can sort of manage the situation or manage the relationship with you because they're so clever and because they're omitting important things you need to know. So I would say you can't trust them, Virgo, and you need to step back and not participate with them at all if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time when I think that you can certainly benefit from a meeting in the middle, and that's because the sun and new moon in Gemini yesterday were very harmoniously trining your sun sign. And Mars in Aquarius is also trining your sun sign. And so remember, I said that a successful meeting in the middle could bring about a compromise or some sort of partnership proposal. Well, that is certainly possible for you. It might be a short-term partnership. It may be some sort of temporary thing that's going on in your life, but it could work out really well. And that's good because it could divert your attention away from the fact that Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, is in Cancer and squaring your sun. So there is a home or a family or a real estate matter that's a little iffy or challenging right now. And then Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, which can represent people in your career, are squaring your sun harshly. And so there are problems to be overcome, but at the same time, you could have a wonderful opportunity to meet in the middle, particularly with others who are rather eager to get something at least going right now, a plan or some sort of training program or seminar or even some sort of compromise or partnership offer. So I hope that that can cheer you up, Libra, and I hope you say yes to those things because those are things you could work on successfully. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time when I think that you could certainly benefit from the fact that Mercury in Cancer is trining your sun, and so is Neptune in Pisces. So on the one hand, you can be getting good news from a family member or about a real estate matter, and you could also be well aware of what's going on behind the scenes. You could have friends behind the scenes that are sort of filling you in on things very, very quietly. So all of that could work out because your sign rules justice, so justice could be done. But actually, your sign is also 150 degrees away from the sign of Gemini. So the sun and new moon in Gemini were in conjunct, and you may not be interested in having a meeting in the middle with anybody right now. And that is because you could have your mind on money, Scorpio, and that's because there could be a challenging financial dilemma with little or no agreement about it right now because yours is a fixed sign. So Uranus in Taurus is opposing your sign, meaning there can be sudden changes in money in a very surprising way, which would somewhat shock you. And then Mars in Aquarius is squaring your sun, and it's your own ruler, so you need to look out for ruthless, greedy people. They are around, or there can be money troubles in the future that you need to contemplate. And then Venus in Leo is also squaring your sun, meaning that perhaps your love life is not going quite as smoothly as it could. So I think that if you sort of miss out on a meeting in the middle this week, I don't think it'll bother you at all, because you've got bigger roadblocks to overcome right now. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time when you can sort of lighten up a little bit, because Venus is now in Leo trining your sun, which means there can be rather good news about children, or a sports matter, or the entertainment world, or something that just involves fun. And that could be fun for you this summer, Sagittarius, so that is just great. But on the other hand, there are things that you really need to work on. And oddly enough, with the sun and new moon in Gemini opposing your sun sign and Neptune squaring your sun sign, it just means that you could have been led down a rose-strewn path that sounded very tempting, and if you followed along, you would be regretting that right now, because you could have been misled by other people that were trying to sell you a little blue sky. Remember, Gemini does rule buying and selling. And with Neptune and Pisces squaring your sun, it means there could have been important omissions and deceptions that could be putting you into some sort of quandary right now. And it's really true that you don't know who to trust, Sagittarius. And so if I were you, I would step back and certainly have some summer fun, but try not to make any big financial decisions right now, because you might be making them with the wrong people. And that means you could be in trouble after a while, so be careful. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is simply a time when I think that you can succeed and in a surprisingly nice way, because Uranus in Taurus is trining Saturn and Pluto in your sign. And that simply means that there could be some unexpected development, financial development, that works in your favor. Maybe something is coming about right now that could represent a good investment of yours. And it could involve real estate or a family member or a home matter right now as well. Because Mercury in Cancer is opposing the two planets in your sign, and Mercury rules news. And since it's in Cancer, which rules the home, family, and real estate, there could be some news that might be a little upsetting to you, but not completely. I mean, I don't think anything's going to knock you over while Saturn is in your sun sign. And yet it could also represent some sort of good financial opportunity that you really should follow up on, Capricorn. So whether it's an investment or the possibility of a move or some buying and selling, if I were you, I would try to have a meeting in the middle with people, because you stand to gain financially from it. So that's why it would be good for you to do that. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, yes, Mars is in your sign, but it is trining that beautiful sun and new moon in Gemini that occurred yesterday. And so that means the information could be flowing to you rather easily. So you are going to have the opportunity to make an easy transitional change, or to have a meeting in the middle, which means that the advantage is you only have to go halfway, perhaps, to achieve your goal, because someone else is willing to go the other half. Well, that could be good for you, Aquarius, and you may need to make a transitional change or a temporary change. And that is because Mars in your sign is now opposing Venus in Leo, which means your relationships, particularly a romantic relationship, is not working out too well, or there can be problems with children, or sports, or an entertainment matter. Or if you have been gambling, you would be getting the sad news that you had lost more than you could afford, and that's why you could be in a financial quandary and want to make a transitional change. And Uranus in Taurus is squaring your sun, and so is Jupiter in Scorpio. So you really have to try to do something right now. And if I could suggest something, I think you should try to sell something, Aquarius, because that would give you some ready cash, and I think that you need that right now. So go ahead and try to negotiate with people, because I think you'd be successful at that, and you need a little good luck right now, so go to it. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, This is a time when you can certainly benefit from the grand trine in water signs, because Mercury in Cancer is trining your sun sign, which means there can be some good family news coming your way, or good news about a real estate matter or a home matter. And also Jupiter in Scorpio is trining your sun, which also means there could be some more money coming your way, Pisces. That's great. But on the other hand, that new moon in Gemini yesterday, with the sun there as well, we're both squaring your sun sign. And that means it could be difficult for you to have a meeting in the middle with somebody else because they're not in the mood for it. And so for you to be able to work with people, of course, there would have to be total honesty. There couldn't be any omissions. There couldn't be any deceptions. You'd really have to lay all your cards on the table, and so would somebody else. And I think that's where the problem is. I think someone else doesn't want to lay all their cards on the table right now. They more or less would prefer to do things in a temporary or transitional way, whereas you may want to do something in a more long-term or solid way. So it can be the idea that you could buy or sell your way out of something or advertise your way out of something. I don't think that's true. What you need to watch out for, Pisces, is that Gemini rules gossip. And remember that new moon was squaring your sun? Well, it was trining Mars, which is in Aquarius right behind your sun sign, which means that there could be some malicious gossip behind the scenes that could hurt you a little bit or even make some enemies right now. And that's why you need to be real careful and be on the up and up if you can be. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see our show, read our blog, and hear our podcast on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.